Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Story Darlings podcast. I'm Sandra.
And I'm Tera.
And today we get to celebrate Tera's birthday. Woo!
And I have a feeling that Sandra did not like my books very much. Because Sandra and I have very different books that we gravitate towards. Sandra is, as you can probably tell, with her making me read multiple series of fantasy romance, a fantasy person, and none of the books that I gave her were fantasy.
True, but also I think for me personally, I've been getting burnt out from fantasy romance lately. So I've actually been gravitating more towards contemporary romance and just women's lit. But I don't know. I feel like whatever you enjoy reading is just kind of a reflection of the things that you need to cope with different things, you know?
Yeah, I like that point because one of your comments to me about I didn't say it was a cozy book, okay? I just said it's one of my go-to books when I just need a dumb read, right? I don't have to pay attention to anything. But it is very much an emotional suffering book. And I mean, all but Sariah, I think, are emotionally suffering books. And I guess I gravitate to emotional suffrage. Because I noticed that when I was giving you those, I'm they're all in some way going to make you suffer. Right. And and I told Sandra after she made a comment that I like that book because it makes me feel better about my situation. It'll all end up okay because it did in this book. Right.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of shit that happens. Right. And so I think that like you just said, that is something I need to be I'll be okay. At least I'm not as bad as that character.
I'll give you that. And I will also accept, the responsibility for misunderstanding because you did say it was your go-to feel-good book. And so for me, when I think of feel-good, I'm oh, cozy, nothing's too serious. And it's more of a book that I feel seen than, oh man, my life is 100 times better than the bullshit going on in these people's lives. But I definitely had that moment while I was reading this book where I was I looked at my phone and I opened up our chat, our text message, and there was a point where I wanted to be should I be concerned? Are you okay?
I feel you should. I feel I'm not okay because I use these books as hey, feel better about yourself. You're not this far gone.
But if you were just tuning in, so Tera and I have been talking for a few episodes now, how since her birthday month is May, it was time for me to read a handful of books that are either her favorite author, her favorite title. And so Tera picked Ruthless Knight by Ashley Jade. That's the author.
She also goes by A Jade. So if you see an A, period Jade, that is the same person. All of her books have that something happens in them. And I guess as I was giving you these books, I gravitate to that. I want somebody to suffer.
I'm sure someone listening out there has read Colleen Hoover books, but this had more drama than a Colleen Hoover novel, which is saying something. And it was a long book too. Typically a romance kind of book, especially just a contemporary romance, is not going to be that long, but this was over 600 pages.
And Sandra, that one, I would say out of the 3 books or 4 books that are in that series, because I think the last one's kind of a double book, that is the least drama that those books have.
Oh my God. I can't even imagine.
There's a lot of drama in the other books too. But anyway.
Yes, so Ruthless Knight by Ashley Jade, or A Jade on this title, and then The Chemistry of Love by Sariah Wilson. So I'll say you were you could pick anything. So I made sure to do my homework. And I was okay, what's something that's going to be lighter? And yeah.
So I will say that Sariah Wilson is probably my cozy author.
Okay.
Like, it's just a little bit of comedy in there. Like, when I'm feeling good about my life and I want to just laugh, like, those are the books I gravitate towards. And all of hers are very similar in that way. Like, there's just like not a lot of thinking and they're funny.
Mm-hmm. I picked The Chemistry of Love because she's a cosmetic chemist in the story. And it reminded me of like Azzy Hazelwood. I don't know if you've read any of her books, but she does a lot of like STEM centered women. And it's always like really funny and light and fluffy type of thing. And so I was like, oh, this kind of sounds like Allie Hazelwood and a mix of like Lynn Painter or something. So The Chemistry of Love, which it was cute. It was cute. And I like the premise of the story, which is like the fake dating trope.
Mm-hmm.
Have like the two brothers and she's like in love with one, but the other one who's like CEO of the company, Marco is his name. Who's actually a dork at heart like she is.
So she has a couple that are based in like a royal setting, which are really cute too. It's very much like, what is that movie by Vanessa Hudgens, where she goes the baker on Christmas and she goes this like small
I know what you're talking about.
And like gets mistaken or whatever. This chick doesn't get mistaken, but it's like the prince falls in love with this, regular person and, hilarity ensues.
I think you need to read more of these kinds of stories, Tara.
I do have some on my Kindle right now, so.
Okay. And then the third book, Tara was like anything by Abbi Glines. So it's like, okay. So there was one, I'm pretty good with angsty kind of stories.
Mm-hmm.
And there was like a second chance romance called About Tomorrow that caught my attention. I was like, okay. And I stayed up really late reading that one. I enjoyed it. I was about to be super pissed off at the end when something very drastic happened.
Who are the characters in that one? Because I don't remember that one.
We have Sailor Copeland and then her twins, best friends growing up, Creed, Sullivan, and Cora. And Cora committed suicide when they were like 16. And she was with Creed, like Sailor and Creed were together when they were teenagers. Mm-hmm. And then that happened and he just like stopped talking to her. They broke up. And then it picks up 6 years later when Creed is like the friend of her boyfriend's roommate now. So I like that kind of like second chance, childhood sweethearts. And then he's of course like this sexy musician. And so there's like some funny jealous scenes and stuff like that. But it was cute.
There is kind of a spinoff of a series she has that is very similar to that, if you like that vibe. So I'll send that your way too, because it's kind of that second chance.
Mm-hmm.
Look at love.
Mm-hmm. I do love the second chance. One of the things that always bothered me about like past relationships and stuff, just generally speaking, is like when you first meet someone, right? And you find them intriguing and you're just like completely just like all in and you think about them all the time and every little thing they do is just so fascinating. This is before every little thing they do is like fucking annoying to you.
Yes.
Like everything is just so dreamy and romantic and intense. And then like you saw reasons for being with that person. Like you genuinely thought they were interesting and smart or funny or whatever. And then for whatever reason, the relationship ends. It always has felt like such a bummer to me that you're no longer able to have any kind of friendship or any kind of acquaintance with them because it feels like such a loss of the time that you spent with them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I love Second Chance because it's a rekindling of that and a rediscovery because everyone has like grown in different ways.
I hate the part where you can't revisit after you've grown past like some of like, because you're dumb in your 20s, right?
Oh yeah, you're a child.
Some of the things that you do in your 20s, you're not super proud of, or some of the relationship you end, things like that. And it, like, I love that, being able to go back and be like, I screwed up, or you screwed up, or whatever. and like with the growth that happened.
Yes. Like, I love the idea of being able to talk to your ex and reflect on that time together, like what each was going through internally, and just like being able to talk it out like in an adult way with no expectation or anything, just like further looking inward and being able to share that.
Well, and that can help you grow if you can have that kind of a relationship too, because if you understand their point of what they saw you doing, which may not be your point because you're living in your own little like, no, I'm not the villain of the story, you are. But if you can have that conversation and, you know, really communicate about, you know, why you were the villain in their side, and, you know, it can help you grow.
Yes.
And become less villainous.
Or embrace it. I don't know. Whatever you want to do. Whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. So that's how I feel anyways. Not that anyone asked about my 2 cents on like
relationships.
Like, former relationships. Yeah.
Okay. So what would you give the books? So I'm guessing the Jade book, like here, how about I guess? I'm guessing like a 5 out of 10, maybe a 6.
The Jade book?
Mm-hmm. Ruthless Knight.
Probably like more like a 4.
A 4, okay.
Or even maybe a 4.5. But here, I don't want to focus on the negative because you like it, you love it. My only problem was I had a hard time. Like, there was so much fat shaming. I felt bad for the protagonist. Like, she was getting fat shamed from everyone around her. Her mom, her dad, like her boyfriend guy that she had a crush on, who was a dickhead. And like, I had a really hard time liking him. Like,
I think that was the point, though, is to show like you just said, in those relationships, when you start, you don't see their flaws, right? Like, she had such a big crush on him that like she didn't see his flaws. Whereas us as readers were like, what the fuck? Leave him alone. Like, don't get into this relationship.
And he was just a straight bully. Like, everyone was a bully to her.
But then you saw her growing as she was in that relationship and understanding his flaws. And I don't think she would have ever seen his flaws until like they got to the point of annoying the shit out of her because she was in this relationship with him. Right. So like, I think it was that rose-colored glasses before, you know, you got to the point of being past that stage in the relationship. So I think that that's what really like sinks in for me is, you know, a crush is a crush, right? Like, you're never going to notice the things that they do wrong.
That's a good point. And one of the things I didn't notice until I had read, you know, About Tomorrow was this story, Ruthless Knight, also had like a suicide twin sibling situation. So I was like back to back, wham. I was like, oh, okay. But like Ruthless Knight.
I didn't mean to pick out 2 suicide stories. Yeah, like, but okay. So like, to my defense, like, I'm pretty sure everybody on this podcast knows that I'd struggled with suicidal like thoughts in the past. So maybe like I was pulling in my, like, I don't know, emotional well-being into books and like feeling seen, like you said, like I was feeling seen by the book. And that's why it like, emotionally resonates with me. Like, maybe it's not actually the book. It's the, like, I felt seen by said book at that emotional time.
This definitely wasn't like an escapism book. It was a making you feel seen and understood kind of book. And then, I don't know, I think I texted you this, but I was like, Ruthless Knight kind of felt like a Euphoria version of like A Walk to Remember, because you have this good girl, you know, Christian chick, and then this bad boy who thinks Christianity is just a bunch of bullshit, and they kind of link up and all of this. And it's kind of a sad ending, because what happens in this book is she gets addicted to Adderall and starts using it to like lose weight, but she keeps using the excuse that, oh, it helps me study. Oh, it helps do this and that and blah, 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 blah. But then she gets like just straight addicted to it. And by the end of the book, she ODs on it. And then they put like, she's induced into a coma, and then they unplug her after a week. And like, meanwhile, Romeo boy is like going to the church for once in his life and praying and beseeching God, asking for a miracle, and a miracle does happen type of thing. So like in that way, it ends happier than A Walk to Remember. But my God, I was like, there is so much drama in this book. Like if you can think of it, it is in this book.
Well, and is it in this book that the suicide actually happens, or do they just talk about it?
It was like on page. It was a flashback on page of like finding the brother.
So in the first book, the suicide actually happens, I think.
Okay.
Because that is a key part to that story.
It follows like the two other people who are like in a very healthy relationship in this.
Now
Yes.
They're in a healthy relationship. They were not in a healthy relationship in the first book. In the first book, her boyfriend blames her for the brother's suicide.
Okay. And the chick's name is it's Dylan, who's dating Jace, the oldest brother of this one. Okay.
And that he is the twin, I think, right? Or no.
Yeah.
Liam, something like that. It's been a while since I've read this book, but
yeah, it's Cole and Liam who are the twins. Mm-hmm. And then they have a little sister, Bianca, who is a little shit starter.
So her book is the third and the fourth book. So
okay, she gets 2 books.
Yeah, because one is in high school days, and then one is 10 years in advance. It's like your second chance. So something happens in high school.
Yeah.
And then we shoot forward 10 years and there's a second chance.
Yeah. I think another thing that I struggled with this book was like there was just explicit sex scenes with like 15-year-olds and then 17 and 18-year-olds. Okay. And like there was a scene like in the locker room of the school and I'm like, what the fuck, Tera?
Okay, like it is I told you it's very YA, but like
this is not YA. This is
okay, but I think it is, Sandra. I think we were very sheltered in our high school existence.
Were we?
Because some of the things that people are saying to my child at 12, I'm like, I do not remember this existence. So no. I think it might be the like actual common high school experience. So you guys tell us because we don't know.
I'm not the person to ask. I was a good girl.
We did not know these things happened in high school, but like maybe you guys did. In every movie, you see like the high schoolers hooking up in the classrooms or whatever. And so I think it might be more predominant than we knew.
So it's not just like parody?
So, but yes, it did feel much older. And so like in my mind, I made them a little bit older, I guess. Like maybe I was thinking like college as opposed to high school, but I think that was also like, not wanting to believe this happens in high school.
Yeah. But, another series that we both read and enjoyed was After. And there's a lot of drama that happens across that entire series. But you're right. They were aged up. Like they were in college, not, sophomore, junior, seniors in high school.
But you do see like even in the Summer I Turned Pretty, like they're high school aged. And there was some shenanigans. That's also an author that's an Asian author. And so she writes Asian characters, which I loved. But yeah, so in my head, I envision them as college age kids because, it does get kind of weird envisioning a 15-year-old doing stuff like that, especially when I have a 12-year-old.
You're like, I'm going to keep an eye on my daughter. I mean, just from personal experience. I mean, I never had sex until college, but definitely was sexually harassed when 8th grade. So what are you, like 12, 13?
Yeah. Did you understand that you were being sexually harassed though? Like at that time?
I knew that I was deeply uncomfortable and that it affected me after. Like I was super self-conscious about how I dressed after.
Yeah.
Like, you're leaning in my ear during history class when it's dark and we're supposed to be watching Glory and like you're whispering in my ear right now how you like, what's up my skirt. It's like after that you're thinking about, I don't want to like wear something too short or too tight anymore.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
so that happened to me, and I was just thinking about that the other day. Not the exact same thing, but
Yeah.
like sexual harassment. And I'm like, I didn't put two and two together that is what was going on at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
But like looking back at it, I'm like, yeah, that was inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me feel weird. Like you just said, like, eh.
Yeah.
But like I had no experience to know what that was.
Yeah. It's almost like, if anything, you start blaming yourself, like, oh, I did something wrong to garner this reaction from this guy. And now looking back as, almost 40 years old. Yeah. You're like, no, these boys should have been taught better and, been in control of their thoughts and actions. And they were not, had nothing to do with us. It was all them.
Yeah.
But I think you're right about like just the types of things that can go on at a high school level, because I have heard from, people in my circle of people here, like of hookups happening in like the science class. And
even like the drug usage and stuff, like, I mean, I was not privy to that. I'm sure it happened.
Oblivious. Yeah.
But I was not privy to any of that. Like, I wasn't even privy to like the alcohol use, which I knew happened. But like,
I dated a guy who was addicted to Adderall and ended up having a stroke. I think it's what happened to her in this book, right? And I had no idea. It was
like a heart attack or something.
Yes, yeah, that's what it was. And like, I had no idea he was addicted to Adderall, but like thinking back, I'm like, oh, okay, like so much of how he acted, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I think that is also one of the things that I like about that book, is that was not the existence I knew in high school. Like, it makes me appreciate the existence I knew in high school and not having to worry about Adderall usage and like all the other crap that happened there.
And you're able to have more honest conversations with like Carly. Like you just are better equipped what she's handling now, because I don't think teenagers have changed much. Like the tools that they use have, but I mean, it's the same shit now. It's just way out there in your face more. Yeah. So yeah, I appreciate that about this. And it does help me understand you more.
Okay, so Sariah Wilson.
We're doing a scale of 10?
Yeah.
I think it was like a 7, I want to say. Okay. 7 out of 10.
That's what I would have guessed.
The only thing that annoyed me about Anna was I couldn't understand why she was so hung up on the brother Craig when he was a total douche to her. Like, she was a 26-year-old chemist, and she acted like a 16-year-old who couldn't take a hint that this guy couldn't even remember her fucking name. So why is she in love with him? Her words. And like, look at this big hunk of a man, Marco, who is like
I revert back to my comment before that at the age of 20, you are dumb. Like, you want what you can't have, and you do dumb things. Your
brain's not developed for another 6 years or so. Yeah. That's true. We are literally physically stupid.
Yeah. Not using a full brain there.
No.
Okay. Abbi Glines.
Abbi Glines. She reminded me of like, this was same kind of like a Colleen Hoover. And I think I gave this one like 7.5 or 8.
Okay. So you like
I was about to 1 star this when I thought that she had killed off the love interest at the end. Do you remember the ending?
No, not really. I have to reread this one. Again, I haven't read any of these books in a little while because I've been trying to make it through series of SJM and then like Ever King and Sun Queen Trials, and I think that's all we've done. But yeah. So I have not read any of these for a little bit.
No, in this one, like, I love the premise, as I said. So Sailor is like, she went to Vanderbilt and she met this guy Griff, and he's in med school now. And so he's actually a good boyfriend. He's very studious, and he helped her get over her heartbreak with what happened with Creed and Cora growing up. And so she is very much about this relationship with Griff, but like, everything, like from the moment she finds out that Creed is friends with Griff's roommate, and they like reconnect that way. And weeks go by where Griff is just excuse after excuse, unable to make time for her, like a simple text message, a phone call, anything. It just keeps canceling on visiting her. And she's like so excited about getting this job at an art museum and, you know, moving back into her grand's house and making it all homey and her own and stuff, and the good memories that she associates with being there. Like those were such cozy things. And then like there's a lot of misunderstanding with like Creed's motives, and then Griff like gets in her head basically, and it's just like, oh, Creed is still like sleeping around, he had a girl on his lap and blah blah blah. And so like there's this drama that happens, and he gets real drunk, has a little, not a car accident, but he drives off into a marsh and like he's missing, and they're like, oh, he died in the marsh. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like this book, I was about to be like, I was feeling all the happy things with them reuniting and being so happy together, and then that shit happened. It was a fake out, like he was fine. And but I was like so close to being pissed off at you, Tara.
I think there's only one death in any of Abbi's books that I remember.
Okay. And she has a lot of books, it looks like, because I had no idea what to read. And I'm like, okay, this one, angsty second chance. Okay, I can do it.
I think I only remember one death, and that one was not, I mean, it was a tearjerker, but it was kind of expected.
Yeah. Yeah.
Spoiler alert if you're reading any of Abbi's books, if that helps at all. I won't tell you which book it's in, though, so you still have, like, you know, your suspense. Is this the book that has it?
And all of these are on Kindle Unlimited. And then Chemistry of Love and About Tomorrow I saw were both on Audible. Not Ruthless Knight, but these two were.
I think Chemistry of Love also has, like, an Audible, like, Kindle Unlimited thing, so it's free, too. At least some of Sariah's, the ones that I've added, have all been like Kindle Unlimited audio versions too.
What I liked about the Chemistry of Love, like there's this concept of like mood rings. It changes with like how you're feeling, right? And so she decided to apply that premise to like lipstick, like, oh, it's a mood. And so anytime Marco was like turning her on or making her feel all the emotions, her lips would turn like dark red. And so it was just like, I like that idea. I thought it was very unique. Hadn't seen that before.
Yeah.
It was cute and funny. There was a lot of like D&D and Star Wars humor too.
Like you said, the STEM books, like those were ones that I wanted to read.
Yeah.
And so that sounds very much up that alley of.
Yeah, because you're a STEM girl. But yes. So I read these pretty quick too. Like I read these last two really fast. I feel like I was up late for both of them. Just turning the pages. Clicking my Kindle button.
Like I'm reading fast. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed our little bonus episode outside of our book club of the books that I forced Sandra into reading. And learned new things about myself through her reading of these, because I did not, like, I knew I liked them for some reason, but I did not fully understand some of the reasonings maybe behind me liking them.
I feel like I've gotten a better sense of like what you're looking for in being seen and understood. So that you're not alone. There's other people out there that like write these stories, and obviously they had to have had some kind of personal experience to be able to write about it, right?
Without going into like they're still fiction books, you know, like it's not so far down that rabbit hole of like bad thoughts and things that it pulls you deeper. So
yes, they're more hopeful for sure.
Yeah.
And by the time this episode airs, you're going to be doing your first big thing in your brand new year. You'll be abroad.
Yes. And maybe we can do I really want to read books with like places in them. So like I've seen a lot of like Italian vacation books or books with like Italian vacations in them or Paris or something. So I may have to pick up some of those and read those on the trains or something.
The Idea View book bounces around different European countries. Paris has a nice one.
Yeah, maybe I'll show you guys a little bit of what they experience. Well, after Sandra said that way, like not that, guys. But I had to stop myself mid-sentence there. But maybe just show some of the different places.
Yeah. For all of us, just losers hanging out in America.
I don't know. Sandra is well-traveled, so.
I used to be. But anyways, I'm just going to be sitting here in Arkansas hating while my child is home for the summer. Woohoo! Yeah.
I'm just going to be touring different countries with my child and sitting on hour-long trains. And so
I love the train rides, though.
Not sure how much I'm going to be enjoying my children either.
You will. And I can't wait to see pictures and get updates. So
I did find it amusing. Last year we visited a pharmacy in every country, which was really fun.
Hey, at least you plan, right?
Yeah.
Make sure you're covered.
We had to get Tylenol in every country, and we're just like, we don't speak this language. Tylenol, head pain.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Tera abroad.
Yes. Head hurt.
We'll do something on theme to talk about it and bring in your experience there. So we'll see. We'll keep you posted. So, all right. Any last words? Anything you're looking forward to besides this trip?
Like, I'm going to have a lot of time on like planes, trains, automobiles.
Beats rocking, huh?
Hopefully not scared to death.
You'll be good.
Hope you guys enjoyed. And if you read those books, let us know what you thought about them. Try not to hurt my feelings.
That's what I hope I didn't hurt your feelings. I was like, I know that these are your favorites. I'm not going to shit all over them. I understand. Like, we like what we like,
Yeah. Well, and I'm like, Sandra likes very different books than me.
No, but I think everyone goes through phases, right?
Yeah. And like, at least I didn't go like Jodi Picoult or whatever, where like, it's like you have no redemption at all in these books.
Yeah. A little dark.
Yeah. So.
You're like, ooh, that's an idea for next year.
No, because I mean, I like those books. But I like the like redemption. I like the like spot of hope.
Yeah. There's a difference between ending with hope and like ending just bleak. Mm-hmm. I don't like feeling empty inside. Mm-hmm. Like I need to go stare at grass.
Yeah. So.
But anyway, well, I think Maxton Hall will be the next episode that airs after this birthday picks episode. Oh. So we'll have that to look forward to.
That also has a lot of drama in high school.
True. But not like Ruthless Knight, okay?
They don't look like they're high schoolers either.
No one almost dies. Or no one's in a week-long coma.
Yeah, no, we don't have that.
Yeah, hanging themselves in the closet.
That is a pattern with AJ, because like the first book you have the suicide, the second book you have Sawyer's thing, and then the third book you have something else that is life-threatening.
Oh God.
So it is apparently a theme.
And you said there's only 4 books, so right.
I don't remember anything in the 4th book that was like a life-threatening situation. It happens like at the end of the 3rd book.
It's just more like development and resolution for Bianca.
Mm-hmm.
Years later. Mm-hmm.
I will say in the 4th book, like I liked Bianca.
Yeah. I started warming up to her at the end of this book, so she was feisty.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't listen to anybody.
Well, she grew up with 3 older brothers, so like you kind of have to be feisty.
True. Yeah. We're like still rambling on after doing the conclusion.
Okay, we're really done now. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let us know what you thought if you did read these. Otherwise,
wish Tara a good trip.
Yes, we will see you guys. Maxton Hall's next. Okay. We'll see you with Maxton Hall next week. 2 weeks.
All right.
Wherever it comes out.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.